Here we are, quarter one, week 7, day 1. It says find an equivalent fraction. Okay, so once again, we can look at these and say, well, is there something we can divide into them to make them smaller? Well, if you look at the 5 over 9, there's really nothing you can divide into 5 and 9 that will go into it evenly. So basically what I would think would probably be a good idea is just take it and multiply them both by 2. So if you do this times 2, do this times 2, 5 times 2 is 10. 9 times 2 is 18. There we go. That's an equivalent fraction to 5 over 9. Okay, we could have done 5 times 3, we could have done 9 times 3, we could have done 5 times 17 and 9 times 17. It doesn't matter. It would have been an equivalent fraction. Now, if we look at this next one here, we have 12 and 10. Again, we can just multiply them both by 2. Okay, or we can actually say what goes into each one. We can scale it down a little bit. Well, we see that they're both even, so I'm going to pick the number 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So that is an equivalent fraction. Again, we could have just doubled 10 and gotten 20, and doubled 12 and gotten 24. That also would have been equivalent fraction. So the key is, whatever you do, if you're scaling it up or down, you're either going to multiply or divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Okay, we need to find the sum. So let's do it. 9 plus 9 is 18, so we'll put the 8 here, carry the 1. 4 plus 0 plus 1 is 5. 8 plus 4 is 12. 9 plus 2 is 11, plus 1 more is 12. And then we have 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 4 more is 12 again. All right, so then we just come over, put our comma, and the answer is 122,285 is the sum. It takes Cindy 3/4 of an hour to complete a puzzle. So 3/4 of an hour to complete a puzzle. How many puzzles can Cindy finish in 3 hours? Okay, so we know that the total number of hours are 3. We're going to divide 3/4. All right, so we're going to have to make the 3 a 3 over 1, right? And then we're going to do a keep, change, flip. We're going to keep the 3 over 1. We're going to do times 4 over 3. Again, guys, if you remember, we can cross reduce. So if you look at right here, you can do 3 into 3 and get 1, 3 into 3 and get 1. You can't do anything with the 4 and the 1. Okay, so 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. So it's 4 over 1, or the answer is simply 4. So how many puzzles can Cindy finish in 3 hours? It would be 4 puzzles. 4 puzzles in 3 hours. All right, now we are going to find the quotient. And we've been doing quite a few of these. So what I'm going to do is, since I already worked it out, I will put the answer on here. And if you would look at this or write it down and see if you get the same answer, to see if you can do it correctly, that's what I'm going to have. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it there, and of course have the zeros. But the answer is 401.45, or 401 and 45 hundredths. So that's the quotient. That's the answer for 8,029 divided by 20. All right, we're going to find the difference. And again, we're finding the difference of two numbers that have decimals. Okay, so since they have decimals, we have to line those up. So let's go ahead and do that and solve it. Okay, so we have 128 is going to be the number on top because that's bigger than 8. So that's what we wrote down. We have 128.040. I had to add a 0 there, so that we can line up the decimals and have 8 on the left side and then 287 or 287 thousandths, okay, on the other side. So let's go ahead and solve it. We can't take 7 away from 0, so we're going to have to borrow from the 4 and make it a 3. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. All right, we can't take 8 away from 3, so we're going to borrow from the 0, but we can't. So we're going to borrow from the 8. That will become a 7. Okay, the 10 here, well, that would become a 10, but then we're going to borrow from that and make that a 9. And then this would be 13. So 13 minus 8 is 5. All right, 9 minus 2, 7. And then we have 7 minus, or taking 8 away from 7, can't do it. So this becomes a 1. This becomes a 17. 17 minus 8 is 9. And then 1 minus nothing and 1 minus nothing. Bring down the decimal. So the answer is 119.753. So the difference of 128.04 minus 8.287 is 119.753. What is the least common multiple of 3 and 8? All right, so let's find multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. All right, so let's see if that's enough. Let's go to the 8. Okay, let's do multiples of 8. We got 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. All right, so is there a number that's in both the multiples of 3 and the multiples of 8, or do we need to keep going? So it looks like right here we have a 24 and we have a 24. So the least common multiple of 3 and 8 is, oops, I thought 3 is 24, not 34, 24. So find the missing number of each unit rate. Oh, that's cool. All right, so we need to get from 2 down to 1. Well, what are we going to divide by to get from 2 down to 1? Well, whatever the number is, divide it by itself. So it's going to be divided by 2 to get down to 1. So you're also going to divide this by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, so 5 goes right there. What does it take to get from 4 down to 1? Well, divide again by itself. It's going to be 4 divided by 4 is 1. So you're going to do 16 divided by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Okay, so 4 goes right there. 5 goes right there. Those are the missing numbers for the unit rate. Okay, so this one would be 1/5 over on this side. And this one on here would be 1/4 on the right side. Okay, so Luis has a cooler filled with cans of soda. For every 5 cans of Coke, there are 3 cans of Sprite. Okay, so we're going to have 5 Coke, 5 Coke, and then for 3 Sprite. Okay, it says if there are 25 cans of Coke, so we're going from 5 to 25. So how much does that increase by? Okay, to get from 5 to 25, we have to multiply by 5. So to get the same ratio, we're going to have to take the 3 and also multiply that by 5 to keep the ratio the same. Okay, and if we do that, 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 5 is 15. So it says how many cans of Sprite are there? So we're getting from 3 cans to 15 cans of Sprite. Okay, so if the ratio is that there's always 5 cans of Coke for 3 cans of Sprite, we're going to increase it up to 25 cans of Coke, then there would have to be 15 cans of Sprite to keep the same ratio of 5 to 3. So what percent is 24 of 40? All right. So 24 of 40. So what they did here with this illustration to find out the percentage of 24 out of 40 is they realized that 40 can be broken up into 10 sets of 4, right? Which is convenient because then 4 can also go into 24. Okay, so 24 is how many 4s? Well, that is 6 of the 4s, right? So since it's 6 of the 4s, then that would be each one of the 4s is worth 10% because all 10 of these 4s, okay, are 40. So each one is 10% of the total amount because there's 10 of them. Okay, so at that point, if you guys look at the 24, it takes up 6 of the 4s. And since 40 is 100% of it, then 6 of them must be 60%. Okay, so if you're looking at this illustration, you can see that 24 is 60% of 40. Okay, and there's a lot of other ways to get the percent of something. So another way you could do it is just set it up so that you have 24 out of 40. You can divide 40 into 24 to see what percent. Okay, because you know it's less than 100% because 100% is 40 of it. So if you did that, you would end up getting actually 0.6. And if you get 0.6, okay, all you do to find or get the percent is multiply it by 100. Okay, so it's going 24 divided by 40 equals 0.6. So all you have to do to find the percent is just move the decimal over 2 places and put a percent sign. So that would end up being 60% as well. And we'll be getting more and more into percents in the future. So that is the answer for that one.